Are you ready for a word from God that will give you direction? Are you ready to renew your mind and receive biblical answers to your secular problems? Are you ready, willing, and able to make a change for the better in your life? If you are, then listen to the Right Rev Rhino Show for mind-renewing, empowering, encouraging, and enriching biblical messages that will give you direction in making that change. The Right Rev Rhino takes everyday situations and puts biblical support to them. A gifted pastor and teacher, he has the ability to have your mind seeking more and more knowledge about God. AJ the Right Rev Rhino Watkins, Thursdays at noon at www.spreaker.com/user/Right Rev Rhino. Get it? Got it? Good. God bless the Right Rev Rhino. AJ the Right Rev Rhino Watkins, pastor of Simonton Genesis Ministries Incorporated, where the mantra is revelation, reconciliation, and restoration.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, predicated on where you are on the planet today. Welcome to the ride, y'all. I'm a little late this week. It's normally on Thursdays, but sometimes we get tired with things. But I want to make sure that the congregation that is global that I've been blessed with, that you will not go lacking on your weekly message. You will not go lacking on your weekly message. So the good thing about the internet is that we can broadcast from anywhere at any time. That's the lovely thing about it. And it goes out into cyberspace, and all our governments around the world tracks it to make sure you're not doing nothing crazy or saying nothing out of line. Nevertheless, I want to thank all of you. We are nearly north of 1,700 followers out in cyberspace. 1,700 followers. I don't know half of you anymore. I remember those who first started with us, and we really appreciate you guys. We really appreciate you because you're still with us. The statistics show that you're still with us, and we really appreciate you. Always appreciate your nucleus. Always appreciate your nucleus. And then those who found the nucleus attractive and joined in, we appreciate you too. We really do appreciate all of you who come in and allow us to try to give you a word of encouragement, empowerment, and enrichment so you can have revelation, go to God and get reconciliation, and God can give you restoration to where you fell off. And you can continue with your lifestyles, continue with your goals, the pursuing of your goals, your hopes, your aspirations, and maybe just continue with just being a better you. Indeed. Yes. And today, we're going to be dealing with that. We're going to deal with that in a very smooth way. I'm going to slow down a little bit today because this message here is designed for you to take an introspective look at yourself and a retrospective look at your life to make sure that you can understand that whatever has transpired is no longer your fault. It is in your past. Pick yourself up, gird yourself up, and get yourself together to make a better life for a better you. Now, but before we get to that, we now have the page up. Our page for the ministry is therighrevrhino.org. That is therighrevrhino.org. And you can donate on that page. At the top on the left hand corner, it says help us grow. All you have to do is click on that button, and if you want to do a donation, if you want to send a donation, it is done digitally through PayPal. When the finance committee, when they receive your donation, they will have your address because that's how PayPal works. We, on the flip side of that, will do you the courtesy of sending you a receipt for your taxes if you're in America, for your taxes. For all you who are in America, and you know how our government is, the IRS will hunt you down for the taxes. We will send you a receipt for your taxes for donating to a nonprofit charitable organization. Now, what does that money do? I know you want to know that. The money does not buy Pastor Watkins a car. No, I already have that. The money does not buy Pastor Watkins clothes. I got those too. That's all of my own recognizance. Not one dime of any of the funds that come in from the people right here in the congregation locally, or coming in from those of you who are out there in the cyber audience. Not one dime of that goes to my pocket. I have my own job, and I have other ways of making funds, and God has blessed us to continue to grow that area right there. And pretty soon, if the Lord will, we got a praise report, we will be able to quit the job and then just go full time in ministry, where I might be able to broadcast every day or at least 3 times a week. We don't know yet. We have to make that decision when we come. You can also email the ministry at pastorajwatt@hotmail.com. That is pastorajwatt@hotmail.com. Each week, we are fine-tuning, and we need your prayers, we need your prayers. We're going in to talk with some government officials in our local area this week coming up, and we pray that they will see what we are bringing to the community that will enhance the community. Any donations that are sent, that goes to enhancing the community. It doesn't go to enhancing Pastor Watkins' pockets. I don't believe in that. I believe that as we grow and go, that if there is an offering, people actually give it to me personally, not from the ministry's treasury. The ministry's treasury has to grow so that we can make an effective change and an effective impact on the community that we're sitting in out here in the Vegas region. Want to give a shout out to all the ministers, pastors, and teachers who are doing something in their community. If you're not doing but one thing in your community, if you can only do a food drive, if you can only give people clothes or a warm blanket in the wintertime, we want to give you a shout out and say great job well done, and keep doing it, because as long as you stay focused on what you're doing, the problem that we have, that too many people try to save the entire planet. That's why we have Christian folk everywhere. I didn't say church folk, I said Christian folk. And when Christians can realize they cannot save the entire planet, but they can have an effectual change in the area that they're residing in, then the church will grow spiritually, emotionally, and especially physically, because more people will come because you're helping them. So, once again, you can go to therighrevrhino.org, and when you click on donate, you will be sent to the PayPal division for Simonton Genesis Ministries Incorporated. And once again, where does your funding go? Your funding goes to staying on the air. Your funding goes to software to enhance and continue to move forward with our local radio broadcast, as well as our syndication broadcast across the South, which is coming up soon. That's another praise report. So we've been very busy trying to make sure that the messages that we bring actually have, which are different. I have gotten a lot of positive feedback from you guys, which are different, that they actually get across the South, and we can break the chains and shatter the fetters of religious slavery. Because once you become knowledgeable of who you are in God, and once you know who God is for yourselves, and build up your relationship with God for yourselves, and then go to the ministry where your pastors are, you will in turn, because you know who you are in God, and you know what God has done for you, and you know how God operates for yourself in your particular area of life and expertise, that will motivate some of these lazy pastors and preachers to go back to the book and study for real, instead of going on the internet and trying to buy somebody's sermon or download somebody else's sermon and preach it. Because they have a proclivity to think that a lot of them, not all of them now, don't get me wrong, but a lot of them have a proclivity to think that their people are so silly that they have no clue that when you get something from someone else and it doesn't even flow right, it doesn't even sound like you. Reason being, because you have not spent time with God on any subject matter. So, with all that said and done, we appreciate if you send the donation so we can keep growing. You will receive a receipt. If you are overseas, we will send you an email that will have my signature or my stamp of approval on the bottom. which will allow you, if you have taxes wherever you are in your country, some countries don't have taxes, but wherever you are, it will signify that you have indeed done something to help someone. Also, if you desire to be a supporter financially to this ministry, we will also send you a very nice membership certificate, from Simonton Genesis Ministries Incorporated. So all that good stuff is on the horizon, but the website is up and running. The donation and help us grow buttons are up and running at therighrevrhino.org. So the team has been working. They've been working diligently. We had a major meeting yesterday, and God has blessed us to have quite a few more people to donate their time from their professional expertise without even charging the little old ministry anything. All they want me to do is keep bringing it like I'm bringing it. So I've taken up enough of your time. I've taken up 11 minutes of giving you all the church announcements, if you will, all of the church announcements. So with that being said, we're going to move forward. Today, as I stated when we first opened up, we're going to be dealing with a message that's going to allow us to understand that we need to omit and get rid of negative people, negative family members, and negative friends. And whatever we do, whatever God gives you something, you must be able to, ready, willing, and able to take it on and make it happen. So, coming from Daniel, chapter 10, verses 7 through 14 and 18 through 19. That's Daniel, chapter 10, verses 7 through 14 and 18 through 19. I think I had to bring this again because some people they get out there, they get going, and then they fall by the wayside. So we're not going to do that today. The topic of your message today, cyber congregation, all 1,695 of you. I know you're not all listening at the same time. And when you do hear this message, all of you will be encouraged, empowered, enriched. You will have revelation. You will get back where you can go to God and get some reconciliation, and then He can give you restoration to back to the point to where you fell off. Pick up your life and move forward. Okay? All right. The topic of the message today, coming from Daniel chapter 10, verses 7 through 14 and verses 18 through 19, is a visionary with great expectation. A visionary with great expectations. Vision is described by Dr. Webster as coming from the Latin term visio, which means seeing. It is a noun of action from the perfect passive participle visus, V-I-S-U-S, that which is seen, or from the verb videre. It means to see, plus an action noun or suffix. In spirituality, a vision is something seen in a dream, trance, or ecstasy, especially a supernatural appearance that conveys a revelation. Visions generally have more clarity than dreams, but traditionally fewer psychological connotations. The psychological mechanism to engender visionary perception and trance phenomena is focused intention and attention. Once again, the psychological mechanism to engender visionary perception and trance phenomena is focused intention and attention. That means focus your mind on what it is that you're doing. A visionary is one who can envision the future, and this can involve the supernatural. A vision can be political, religious, environmental, social, or technological in nature. By extension, a visionary can also be a person with a clear, distinctive, and specific in some details of a vision of the future, usually connected with advances in technology or social political arrangements. For example, Ted Nelson is referred to as a visionary in connection with the internet. Other visionaries simply imagine what does not yet exist, but might someday in the possible future. Therefore, visioning can mean seeing in a utopian way what does not yet exist on earth, but might exist in another realm, such as the ideal or perfect realm as imagined or thought. Examples are Buckminster Fuller in architecture and design, Malcolm Bricklin in the automobile industry, and some of the pioneers of personal computing, such as Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak, and the great Bill Gates, who's out there right now. Some people use mathematics to make visionary discoveries in the nature of the universe. In that sense, a visionary may also function as a secular prophet. Some visionaries emphasize communication, and some assume figurehead roles in organizing a social group. Daniel, here in chapter 10, is a visionary, and he had the gift of being able to interpret dreams and visions. In verses 1 through 9, he tells us where he is and what he is doing. He was by the river Hiddekel and had been there fasting and praying mightily for 3 weeks by this river. All of a sudden, he looked up, and there stood a man. Daniel described the man, and many theological circles proclaim it to be Jesus himself, predicated on the description, which parallels a description in the book of the Revelation 1 and 15. Daniel tells us this in this description. He tells us he got weak and he fell out. Daniel goes on to tell us that he felt a hand touch him, and his strength came to him, and he was on his hands and knees. That means he would have fell on his face flat. Then he got up on all fours. That's what we would call it in today's society, all fours. Then he was touched again, and he tells us he stood trembling. While standing, Daniel tells us he was told of the vision that was for many days. From the day he was dialoguing with this man, he heard the words spoken to him, and he fell out again and could not speak. He said he became dumb, but he described the one who touched him on his lips as one like the similitude of the sons of men, and he began to speak. As we fast forward to verses 18 and 19, we read, "Then there came again and touched me one like the appearance of a man, and he strengthened me." 19 goes on to say, "And said, O man, greatly beloved, fear not, peace be unto thee, be strong, yea, be strong. And when he had spoken unto me, I was strengthened, and said, Let my Lord speak, for thou hast strengthened me." The reason he came and touched Daniel again was so Daniel could receive the instructions he was about to receive, because in verse 17, Daniel tells us he had no strength and he could not breathe. Daniel is expecting the vision to come to pass, as he would soon be told in chapter 11. You have to read that for yourselves. That is what happens when you have a true encounter with God. No one can come into the presence of God's divine glory and act like nothing ever happened. Satan cannot stand it. He has to get away and come back to mess with you later. Today, we would say he was slain in the presence of the Spirit of the living God. Daniel had been commissioned a visionary with great expectations in this chapter. No matter what he had done up to this point, the vision he was given would be many days, and Daniel had to expect the vision would come to pass. We likewise are visionaries with expectations, yet you must not allow your past and those who bring up your past to dictate your expected future. It does not matter if your vision is as big as the world stage or just a personal goal. If God gave it to you, you can rest assured it will come to pass, as long as you're following what God tells you to do. We must understand where we come from, why we were brought from there by God, and then what will be our present instructions to our visions. When can we expect the move of God in our present situation, so that our vision may come to fruition? Once again, we must understand where we came from, why we were brought from there by God, what will be our present instructions to our visions, when can we expect the move of God in our present situation, so that our vision may come to fruition. It is important to understand that I am actually a product of my past, and the only way to defeat the negatives of my past, which have now come into my present, is for God to give me vision. I have to have vision of my future in spite of the negatives of my past. It's essential here because we often do not project our future because of our constant view of our past. Many times we are brought to remember the things of our past as a reason or excuse for our future to be negative. But I have found out that God has to overcome my situation with revelation. God has to point out to me that he is the visionary who moves within my system, so that my everyday will be a day of expectation. I didn't come in here to just sit. When you go to church, there comes a time when you go to church and you come into the church and you just feel like you just in a place. They're just running their mouths and not saying anything. Then you have those people that'll look at you like you crazy when you're sitting there and trying to understand what's being said, and you're trying to follow the flow, if you will, for lack of a better word, the flow or the order of service, trying to understand what it is that the pastor or the preacher up there is trying to say. and you're feeling lost. I know many of you have done that. You can't just go around and receive any word from just anybody, because everybody is not truly following God. They're in it for self-gain. So when you go to churches and you walk in and you sit down and people are sitting there next to you and they got that attitude with you and all that stuff, or if you even in the church right now and you go to church every Sunday and somebody sits down next to you and you sit in somebody's seat and they get all upset, or they do the same thing every Sunday, you can pretty much time them about the time they're going to say amen, about the time they're going to stand up and clap their hands, about the time they're going to shout. It's all about show. But you need to tell people when they look at you and ask you what you're in here for, you got to tell them, I didn't come in here to just sit down. I came in this house looking for God to deliver something to me that he has previously promised. I am a child of hope, a child of promise, and a child of expectation. Therefore, I live in the realm of expectation every day of my life. That is a primary reason why I'm not surprised at the sententious and pusillanimous behavior of some of our holier-than-thou going to heaven anyhow saints in the church. It is impossible to be in the world and be not of the world without the power of expectation. I'm in the world and I'm going through some stuff. That's what you got to see. You're in the world. You're going through some stuff. But because there's something in me that says what I'm going through is not the final product of my life. You got to say that to yourself. You got to say, I can look at my situation and say, no, you will not control me tomorrow. I have a future regardless of my past. I cannot be in the world and not be of the world unless I expect something that isn't here yet. Time and space is only a platform for eternity and infinity. I have to believe beyond where I am. My reach must always be beyond my grasp. This is what messes up the devil in your life. No matter what he throws at you, based on your past, you can look forward and tell him that my past will not go beyond my present, because as long as I can project my future, I can get over anything that is going on right now. Sometimes the only thing you have to do is hold on to the vision of what God is getting ready to do in your life. I expect to get through this. You got to tell yourself, I will get over it, and I'm not going crazy. I'll get through it, and I won't lose my mind. You have to tell some people, I'm crying, but I'm crying out of one eye, because I am looking for the power of God to be revealed. I am hurt, but I am hurt with expectation that this pain is just a catalyst for a higher and closer walk with God. I hear what others are saying in regards to the gifts God has entrusted me with, but I have to stay on course. You got to tell them, I may stop and rest, but my compass is pointed in the direction of expectation from the vision God has made plain in my life. If your vision is opaque, that is not my fault. You must seek God and ask God to clear the path for you to see your vision and the direction you are supposed to be headed in and going towards in your life. You can run in my direction, but you will have to change course because your vision is not the same as mine. Same destination, but we're running in different lanes. When you have received your ultimate vision from God, you can expect God to make a way for it to manifest into reality for you, as long as you do what he tells you to do. The text said it was for many days, but it will come to pass. As a visionary, you must live in the realm of expectation, because the vision may not come to pass right away. God is not a microwave God. Sometimes he can give it to you right then, and then other times he'll hold off on it while you build up responsibility enough to handle what's going to come to pass. It may take a few days, a few weeks, months, or years, but it shall come to pass because God truly gave it to you. Trust that if God gives you that vision, you will not be too old to enjoy it, but you will be mature enough to manage and take care of it. The realm of expectation for your vision should show that your faith in God is so secure that you know that he will place the proper people and proper resources into your life for your vision to come into fruition. Visionary, that's you out there, all of you. You must live with expectation. Understand, a visionary is one who makes plans A through Z and then turns around and have backup plans to each one of them. A visionary makes their plans broad enough to allow adjustments without having to start over, because a visionary understands that they do not know it all and will need the assistance of various people with expertise in various fields of knowledge. You must live with the expectation that God has worked out worked out the path and the plan, and all you have to do is faithfully follow it. A visionary must have an aha moment. That is the moment when you realize that God has given you the plan for your life and your vision. Once you have this moment, you as a visionary should wrap your mind in God for guidance through the Holy Ghost. Lock your spiritual eye on the vision so your course toward it remains steady, and put legs on the vision so that you will go knocking on doors and will succeed in coming in contact with the people God already has set in place along that course that you're going to take to help you make it a manifested blessing for you and those around you. A true visionary knows there will be people telling them that they don't need to do this or they don't need to do that. People will try to tell you not to ask you, but tell you what to preach and how to preach it because they do not like how someone preaches, or the message is hitting on their spiritual house and knocking down their spiritual walls, or they envy your gift and they are not qualified to do so. People will try to tell you, not ask you, but tell you that if they were in your shoes, they would do it this way. People will try to tell you that the way you are going about following God's plan for your life is wrong. Yes, people will try to tell you all of that kind of stuff. However, a true visionary knows how to ignore their ill-gotten advice and continue to do what God told them to do. A true visionary knows who God sends into their lives to help with the vision, and they know who comes into their lives to act like they're helping when they're really trying to sabotage or take over and act like they came up with the vision. God gave Daniel the vision, and when God gave it to him, he gave him assurance that it will come to pass, even though it would be many days, but it shall come to pass. As a visionary, you got to have what it takes to make the vision come to pass. God knows you have what it takes, but you have to realize that you have what it takes. Otherwise, God would not have impregnated you with the vision. When we think we have what it takes, things come out wrong. When God gives you a vision and he knows you have what it takes, you must understand it takes more than church membership. It takes more than a preacher's handshake, more than singing in the choir, more than just owning a Bible, more than just giving your tithes and offering, more than just filling out a commitment card, and more than just attending a local church. Many cannot fulfill the requirements of God's vision for his people because they haven't paid the full price of genuine discipleship. Instead of teaching folks, they're always talking down to them as if they have all the knowledge, and those listening to them have not had any experiences with God on a personal level. And let me tell you something. Let me put a pin right here. Whenever you get around a whole bunch of people in church and they say they are the experts on the Bible, run like hell. I mean, run like hell. Run far, far, far away from them. Do not sit there and listen to them, because there are no experts on God, only professionals. If somebody says, I am a professional preacher, I am a professional pastor, then you can sit there and get up under their tutelage and learn some things, because professionals always practice their craft. They're always studying, always reading. If you look at the doctors know that medicine and sciences change every day. Scientists, nuclear scientists, and all those people that are in the realms of science know that things are discovered every day. Now, God already put them here. We just finding them out. You understand? So what happens is that they understand they are professionals. They find out things that happen, and based on their professional, listen to what I'm saying, watch me here, professional experience. It's professional experience. They can tell you what actually will happen. They can tell you, let me just be simple. Let's do simple physical science. They can tell you that if you take baking soda and put it with vinegar and cap it off in a bottle and drop it from a certain height, you will have something that sounds almost like a small bomb going off. That's best, as simple as that. But it was from their experience. Somebody had to experience something in order for that to happen. So what I'm telling you is that when you are a professional Christian, when you are a professional in whatever it is that you're doing, you have experiences predicated on your professional experience, not what somebody told you, but on your professional experience. Daniel said he was down by the river hanging out. On his experience, God appeared to him and told him what the vision was going to be. And that's the same thing that happens with you. So when you run across experts, back up, because expert basically means that they are the final say on what's going on. And that means that they don't have to study no more most of the time. Now, some people might say, well, Dr. Watkins, that don't necessarily mean. Yes, it does. Because you look at people that call themselves experts. You can't hardly talk to them. It's also the time of one-sided conversation. And every time they say something, their word is almost like it's coming out of God's mouth themselves. But when you listen to a professional be like, I never knew that. I like that. I need to incorporate that. Professionals say, let me research that. Professionals will tell you, that's true. We got that. We did some studies on that, on this time and that. Be a professional, because when you're a professional visionary, you know how to follow God because you have experience. Instead of teaching, always study and then go out and say something. Don't try to be the final authority on something, because nobody has a monopoly on God. Yes. And then when you get to the people like this that are always, that are not true disciples of God. They haven't completely surrendered themselves to God, and they haven't prayed through their problems. Most of them just ignore their problems. They'll drink it away. Quiet as it's kept, they'll drink it away or smoke it away. So a true visionary cyber congregation is one with expectations. You are the one who says, yes, Lord, whatever it takes, I'll do what it takes to make my vision that you have given me a reality. I will fight the good fight. I will finish the course for the vision. I will keep the faith. I will ignore the ignorant. I shall abstain from doing evil in order to make the vision come to pass. In other words, I will not go against your word. I will keep it above board, clear, pure, and honest. I will not do evil to somebody in case they try to slow down the vision and cause them to fall and stumble. I will wait until you tell me how to get around them. I will follow the guidelines of the Holy Ghost. I will fast and pray for clarity. I will move with expediency. That's what true visionaries do. A true visionary will say, I will overlook those who speak negatively. I will go around those who are trying to block my view. I will reach beyond the break and grab the hand that holds me in the palm of security. I will hold on to your unchanging hand. I will keep my mind on you and the vision and the people that you put in there to make the vision come to pass. I will keep my mouth shut and move silently through the abyss of naysayers. I will keep praising you when the times get rough. I will accomplish the task you have given me, and when it is accomplished, I will let my light shine by giving you the glory. I will publicly and privately give you the honor and the praise. I will do whatever it takes to make the vision you gave me a reality, because I expect you to come through with all that I need, because I am a professional Christian, professional disciple, and I understand from experiences of my past that even though it may tarry, you have always stepped in right on time. A visionary with great expectations. Many of you have visions out there and dreams and hopes and goals that you set for yourself. Stop. If you spend as much time doing things that need to support the manifestation of that vision, the manifestation of that goal, as you do going to the football games, as you do hanging out with your friends on Xbox, PlayStation, and all that other good stuff, if you spend as much time putting that vision together, walking to doors of those silent helpers who God has put in place, because they're not going to make a lot of noise. You got to watch them. It's just like when you're fishing for a trout. Trout don't make noise. They don't even ruffle in rough water. You have to be able to see that fish and know he's over there. But then you got to go up on him real quiet, because if you go up on him too noisy, he'll walk away. In essence, what I'm telling you in that is, don't go into a professional who's going to offer to help you, that has the money, that has the knowledge, that has the wisdom to help you. Don't go in there trying to talk over them and act like you know more than them. You need them. They don't need you. They're already there. So when God blesses you with those who are higher than you to help you get to the next level, by all means, I don't say kiss no behind, but be humble and be grateful when you go in there and listen to what they tell you. And you'll walk out with the finance, with the knowledge, with the wisdom, and with the backing, the character backing that you will need to make your vision a reality. All the best, visionaries, and God bless. We will see you next week. Much love. This is your host, the Right Rev Rhino, pastor of Simonton Genesis Global Ministries out here in Las Vegas, Nevada. Feel free once again to go back and visit our page, therighrevrhino.org, and give a donation to help us stay out here. We making it happen. We love you, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye now.
DJ the Right Rev Rhino Watkins, pastor of Simonton Genesis Ministries Incorporated, where the mantra is revelation, reconciliation, and restoration.